Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzondo, and you are listening to another episode of the world famous The University of Love, the best podcast in one, two, three galaxies. But, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves. We are coming to you live today. Today is Monday. Don't get me the line today, ladies and gentlemen, about the day. I think today is the 29th. Let's see. Friday is going to be the 4th. Thursday is the 3rd. Wednesday is the 2nd. Tuesday is the 1st. So today has to be June the 30th, ladies and gentlemen. And today is June the 30th, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to forgive me. It has been a long weekend, but we are back. We're recording. And ladies and gentlemen, we have something very important to talk to you about today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this a million times. I know this show is called Online Marketing Moves, and we talk about marketing and we talk about pop culture. Okay, we combine the two. This is the best show. We talk. We can mix. We can weave in the pop culture. We can weave in the marketing, and because without you getting your name out there, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? If you don't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you work a job. It does not matter if you're an entrepreneur. Listen, ladies and gents, the more you can get your name out there, whether you go to church, the more you get your name out there, the more responsibilities you get, the more recognition you can get, and the more you can move up the ladder. It does not matter what you do. It does not matter how you do it. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important goal for you is to move up. I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if I tell you once, if I haven't told you twice, I'll tell you a million times again. The air up on the mountain is better to breathe than the air at the bottom with the rest of the peons and you know, and no offense, people are not peons, but we all know people get comfortable, ladies and gents. People do not want to move up in the world. People do not want to get promotions. They do not want to stand out, because when you stand out, you take more criticism. I'll give you a little, and this is lightweight work. Okay, I have, as you well know, I've started posting videos on TikTok. We are trying to, the goal. The ladies and gentlemen, the goal for this show is, and I will reveal the goal for this show in a little bit, but we want more people to watch. We want more people to go to the YouTube channel. We want more people signing up for the email list. The most important thing is for people to sign up for the email list. That's the number one goal. But so we started doing more TikTok. So I did a TikTok review on this place I go eat at every now and then. It's called Bojangles, the Great Bojangles, and mainly it's just it's a it's a chicken place that's in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. There are Bojangles in Tennessee. I ain't too sure. But Alabama, I think there might be a couple. But it's very regional. I went to Texas one day about a month ago, and they was building a new, like a Bojangle. So I guess they're trying to expand into Texas. But I say all that to say it's a very regional place. And so I did a little food review on Bojangles, because I had it the other day and it was quite delicious, I must say. It was so delicious that I ate it real quick, didn't even think about it. And I was like, oh, I was going to show the sandwich, but I didn't do all that. And so I ate it. I did the review, and I remember I posted it, and it got, I don't understand TikTok. You might be able to help me understand TikTok. I don't understand it. I get, you know, 100, 200 views, but I think they just show it to anybody. I don't know how that works. But, that's not the point. But somebody made a comment, and they said, I never seen a food review without the food. And I thought to myself, what? And I said, man, shut up. I thought to myself, man, shut up. Who cares? What do you want me to do? You want me to stare in the camera and eat the food? weirdo. But anyway, but the point is, it doesn't matter what you do, ladies and gents. It does not matter. People are always going to comment. People are always going to have something to say. So I say all that to say, if you really want to get your name out there, if you really want to move up in the world, I'm talking, listen, child of God, we're all important in the eyes of God. I get that, you get that. We don't have to explain that to each other. But what I'm telling you is, if you want to create the ability, the whole point of this show is to help people realize that they can create the ability to make more money, whether it be, like I said, whether it be a job, whether it be you want to start a business, whether it be you start an online thing, you start an offline thing, it does not matter. The point of this show is to show people, help people, really, because if you met me 20 years ago, if you met me 15 years ago, if you would have met me when I was a child, you would have said, this is one of the last people that would have a podcast. This would be one of the last people to have a YouTube channel. I would be not at the top of your list, okay? I had a conversation with my baby brother. He's a cousin, but he's forget the cousin part. He's my brother. He's my little brother. And he said, out of all the people, my boy, you're not on the list. I said, listen, I get it. I totally get it. I understand. But I just, for me, it's just like, why not? Why not me? Everybody, you see people walking the earth, shouting their opinion, screaming their opinion. You know, a lot of people have terrible opinions, terrible takes. Nothing wrong with that, but they show them to the world, okay? And it's like, you know, why not me? Because me personally, and I want to be able to create money in a way. Matter of fact, me and my brother, we was having a discussion. Okay, and I was telling him, I said, I'm not, one day, like one day, who, between the two of us, we make good money. But you can't show up to a place and they give you $10,000 to speak. I'm not showing up. I don't, right now I'm not able to show up to a place and get $25,000, in one check. Show up. I show up every day, show up every week. I record, I work. It's the money's like a slow drip, and I would love to improve on that. Okay, and so. That is the goal. That is the point. But like he was saying, I said, hey man, you be the last person to. And I said that's okay, but we're here now, and we are rocking and rolling, okay, rocking and rolling, making things happen. But I say all that, ladies and gentlemen, to get this show going. Today we are going to talk about leaving the internet. Okay, going from the internet, and this is the goal, ladies and gentlemen. This is where a lot of people listen. I know you can make money online. I get all that, but you want to be able to hit. You want to be able to hit. Be everywhere, okay? And so you want to be able to if you could take your podcast, and let's say you have the ability to take your podcast and do live events, or you can take your podcast and turn that into a radio, you get on the radio. Doesn't matter if it's local, doesn't matter if you're, in the state, it does not matter. You want to be able to go from the internet into the real world. Why? Because when you come back to the internet, you got more credibility. Okay, you got more positioning. Okay, you will be better suited, and it will help you a whole lot. As I told you before, back in 2000 when I was in the Navy, and when Cash Money was taking over for the 99 and the 2000, I went to go see this movie called Shallow Hal. And it was with Jack Black, and Jack Black was a shallow fella, and Tony Robbins was in the movie. And I didn't know Tony Robbins from a can of paint. I'm like, who is this guy? And then years later, I saw him on the internet, and I was like, oh, that's the motivational dude from Shallow. He was in the movie. And I was like, oh, he was in the movie. So, if he said something, I'm like, all right, I'll listen to Tony Robbins. He seems like a good guy. He was in the movie. Listen, you credibility. There are scam artists, and I don't even mean no disrespect to nobody, but there are scam artists walking the earth that have been on TV, and they are scam artists in plain sight. I don't gotta get, we don't gotta bring them up. You know who they are, and they are credible because they are on TV. You know, we have a we have a president, and the president is the greatest marketer of all time. This fella, okay, because I don't know how he 70 million people signed up for that. But respect when it comes to the marketing. Presidency, that's up for debate. The marketing, you can't knock that, top notch. But I remember I saw Donald Trump on wrestling. He was on The Apprentice. Nobody ever says this guy's been bankrupt 6 times. None of that. Why? TV, the internet. He's been in books. He's been on TV shows. You know, the more you go on the TV and the radio, it does not matter what you do. It does not matter. People look at you as credible. Okay. Um, I told you before, this guy, Todd Chrisley. Todd Chrisley just got out of jail. As soon as he got out of jail, him and his wife, they started filming a reality show. No, by the time, I'm telling you, in 2 or 3 years, they will mention, oh yeah, Todd Chrisley went to jail, but they will not care. They will be buying products from him or buying whatever. Or they will be watching the TV show. He's gonna get credibility. Now, if he was just on the internet, staying on the internet, like, oh, I'm just on the internet now. Like, why are you just on the internet? Dot, 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 you know. And so you want to take whatever. You want, I mean, listen, we'll use Cardi B for an example. I remember I just saw a clip of her on the Love and Hip Hop. She was just a meme at one point. Now she's one of the biggest, not even, because, listen, music now, like rap music, I rarely see these people. I remember when Jay-Z would come out with an album every year. Every November, December, from the time I was like 18, 1997, Jay-Z for like 7 years until I was in my mid-20s, until he retired the first time. But Jay-Z would put out an album every November, December. Boom, boom, boom. Blueprint, Volume 1, Volume 2, In My Life, boom, boom, boom. This guy would crank out an album every year. DMX put out 2 number 1 albums in 1 year. Ja Rule would put out an album every year. Outkast about every 2 years. They don't do that now. And so, you have to be more personality driven when it comes to the hip hop music. And so you see the Cardi B, she's at the McDonald's, with the with the love meal or whatever. You see her on the Jimmy Fallon's. You see her doing videos. You see her on the boat with Stefan Diggs. You see it everywhere. She got off the internet. Got off the internet, went on the TV, the mainstream. And that's what you got to do. That's what people are. That's what people are striving to do. They want to go. They want to go off the internet. Now that's annoying. Why do they want to go off the internet? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the internet, it pays well, but there's a shelf life. It's just like when you see the OnlyFans girl. How many? You got to do. There's a shelf life of that. And my friend had a great suggestion for people that do OnlyFans, or that in the life of taking pictures. And he said they should just take a million and one pictures now, while they're young, and they can just upload them for 10, 20 years. I said that don't sound like a bad idea. But it's like, what are you going to do? What are the goal? What is the plan? What are you going to do? Are you going to be able to take that off the internet? And so you want to go off the internet because there's more to life than the internet. I know it don't seem that way, but there's a lot of people that you can reach that are not on the internet. And ladies and gentlemen, there are people not on the internet. I know some of these people that are not on the internet. I was raised by some of these people that are not on the internet. Okay, um, they might have a little Facebook page, but you can't get them to order a pizza online. You can't get them to buy a plane ticket online. They won't do any of that online. They will call on the telephone. They will go through the phone book. They will do whatever. And so for you, for me, the more places we can go, the internet is just one tool. Remember that. The internet is just one tool. It's not the end all be all. It's great. It's cool to get a following. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we are worried about the bottom dollar. We are not worried about, oh, I got, because me personally, I appreciate you, somebody that likes the TikTok page. I appreciate all of that. But at the end of the day, we are worried about the bottom line, okay? We are worried about the dollar. How can we, how can we, how can we turn this enterprise into a money making, anytime, any day, anywhere, money making machine, okay? And so we want to take this podcast, because I'm going to start. The goal is we're going to start writing radio shows, and I might be delusional, but I doubt it. But we are going to start writing radio stations, radio companies, radio people, and we are going to try to take this show from the internet, the podcast world, into the radio. Why? Credibility. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine we get this show on the radio, okay? You're going to be credible. I'm going to be credible. We're all going to be credible, okay? That's got to be your goal. Radio, TV, you want people out in the public to see you further, more than the internet. I saw something funny one day by this guy named Charleston White, and he was an internet sensation, I believe. And then he started to do comedy shows, and I just saw a clip, and he was like, I left them other jokers on the internet. Yeah. They thought I was a weenie, but I left them on the internet. And I said, well, the man does make a point. You use the internet. It's a tool. It's great. But you want to get off that internet and be in the mainstream. You want to be in the commercials. You want to be on the TV. You want to be on the radio. You want to be in the magazine. You want to be where people can see you. The more exposure you get for your business, for your personality, the more business you can get off the internet. You will be better for it. Okay, and actually, if you can get off the internet and have more people see you, then it would drive more people to the internet. So it works hand in hand. You understand? Of course you do. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Get off that internet and get into the outside world, moving and grooving and shaking. Okay. And if you know anybody that works at a radio station, tell them this is the greatest. This can become the greatest marketing show on the radio. All right. With that being said, ladies and gents, my name is Tony Zano. We'll be back tomorrow with all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, thank you for listening. God bless each and every one of you. And as always, everybody, peace.